Let's look at some sticky hands exercises.
This is the Kitsune clan, a group of sword enthusiasts who like cosplay, reenactment, and historical martial arts. If you have similar interests, feel welcomed.
Sticky hands, or chisao, or however you want to call it, is a common type of exercise in different types of martial arts. You might encounter it in quite different types of learning environments. The most commonly known case is probably Wing Chun and Jet Kundo, where you have the classical chisao, which is a exercise form that is structured like a classical drill, so with a distinct pattern that you start out, but over time it develops more into a free flow type of training. And I understand sticky hands also more in this way as a type of free flow training. Some people would call that maybe flow sparring or however, but it is a distinct exercise for certain types of reaction and certain types of patterns. If we look at the classical type of Jizao as it is taught in some Chinese styles, it's often a parallel-sided situation. So my right arm is in contact with the left arm of the opponent and vice versa. Interestingly, when I started out to learn sticky hands, it was in the context of Bujinkan Budo Taijutsu, or Ninjutsu as it was called at the time. And we would do sticky hands crosswise, so right hand against right hand. And I know that in some of the Chinese styles this is also occurring. And if you dive deep enough into Qizhao as it is trained in Jet Kundo or Wing Chun, then you will see there are a lot of transitions from the parallel-sided situation into the crosswise situation. So I prefer definitely the crosswise position, and it seems that even the styles that start out with the parallel-sided one also prefer that because they have so many ways of getting right there. But then what do we do with this? So the principal idea behind sticky hands is two things. Part one, we are in contact with the opponent, which means we train our tactile sensation, not acting from what we see, but from what we feel. And this is different from the esoteric type of view. You have to feel the technique. No, that's not what I mean. It's about really sensing the pressure or lack of it from the opponent. That's what this is about. Because if we get pressure from the opponent, so if an impulse is acting on us, we have to train how we react on that. The important point is here not to collapse under the pressure, so to withstand it to a certain degree, but not to try to press against it, because that's a typical type of trap. You press, the opponent presses against, and then you take that pressure to do something with it. In other words, it's important to stay stiff and strong at the right position and then be flexible and soft in others. And I think that is an important lesson from Sticky Hands. This is about softness and relaxedness. And if you have people that train a lot of sparring with protective gear, they often build up a lot of tension that might be due to stress or to the belief that this gives more power. Then if the tension has built up too much, you should definitely put in some flow sparring or sticky hands, or depending on which term you prefer, to loosen this tension to get more to a relaxed state and then go back to the hardcore sparring. That's a big plus of this type of training. Also, it depends a bit on the frame you give for this type of training, if you do it completely open, or if you follow distinct patterns, or if you give certain tasks to fulfill. We usually use sticky hands also to not only get into strike patterns, but also to continue into wrist locks, arm locks, and even wrestling. That depends what you prefer, but I think that the motions that you use as an entrance into wrist locks and arm locks are so similar to what you do in sticky hands for example, trapping the opponent to be able to land a proper strike, is warranting that you train that stuff together. In general, a lot of people would say sticky hands is a type of play, it's a kind of game. The problem is whenever you say something is a game, then people tend to take it serious and count points and whatever, and that's definitely not the function of sticky hands. It's also a room for experiments, and that's what's so interesting about it, because you can goof around quite a bit when you're doing sticky hands and you will not immediately get punished for it. It's also a way to offer your training partner to train against some unusual type of attack. So the problem that I often see when I watch people from Wing Chun or Jet Kundo training sticky hands, they stay within their very classical patterns. And that's probably not the point about it, because then you get really, really good in defending against your own style. But if you go into the history of Wing Chun, especially, it always gives the vibe of being an anti-kung fu type of style, so being made against another type of martial art. And that would definitely demand to train against other systems. And flow sparring is a common way to do that, because if I look at protective gear sparring in mixed sessions, that usually doesn't look too good on both sides. And so I like the flow sparring for this, because you have a certain degree of testing. I don't want to talk about pressure testing here too much, although it involves testing and pressure, as I introduced. But it allows you to experiment a bit and not being punished too hard immediately. Depending on how you set the frame with your training partner, you can stop your attacks before even hitting. You can make it with a soft touch or whatever. That's up to you. The important part with sticky hands stays this staying in contact, trying to get the hand to stick to the hand of the opponent. But then, if you take the suggestions of Wing Chun and Jet Kundo, right? If there's no pressure, then the hand has to move forward, try to strike, grab, or whatever. After some time, or depending on, as I said, on the framework, you can do that with closed eyes or even with blindfolds. Be careful, no stuff should lie on the ground if you do things like that. And that's also a very good exercise to get deeper into this feeling and not working always from the optical side. On the other hand, what I've recognized by training with some people from Wing Chun, if you rely only on the side with the mechanoreceptors, then haymakers get a problem, because they take routes or trajectories that cannot easily be covered by the seeking hands, and for that you definitely need optical reactions. But as they have longer ways, that makes absolute sense that optical detection is suitable here and can lead to an active defense when it comes to that. So far, some general thoughts about sticky hands. We will put up more sticky hands videos in the next weeks and just give you an impression how we use that for our set of training. Maybe there's something in that you are interested deeper. Please make a comment if we should emphasize on something. Otherwise, it's just for your entertainment and your inspiration. Hope to see you around next time.